Do you ever have pain right in between your shoulder blades, which we call mid-thoracic pain? Well, I'm going to show you 7 exercises that you can do to improve your mobility and reduce your pain. My name is Eirk, and I want to welcome you to Fitness Integrated Science. Having pain discomfort in this area is very common due to our sedentary lifestyles, and a lot of it is due to muscle weakness. So as I'm going through these 7 exercises, I'm going to need for you to have access to a wall, access to a chair, and for my last 2 exercises, potentially access to an elastic band. Now, if you don't have an elastic band like this, which I will put a link for one of these below, you can also substitute this for a sash from your robe or even a belt from your closet. And if all else fails, you can do this just like working on your own, retracting your muscles with body weight only. So let's get started. Now, I love using chairs for a couple of reasons. Number 1, it gets us off the ground, which takes the pressure off of the wrist. And number 2, it helps us to really isolate what we're working on instead of having to maintain so much of our body. So I want you to begin by placing your hands on the chair. Now, we have 2 motions in our shoulders that are very important to really understand if we're going to gain mobility in the upper back. This is called protraction and retraction. Protraction is literally rolling our shoulders off of our back, and then retraction is squeezing our shoulders into our back. So from a standing position, it would look like this: rolling the shoulders off the back and then squeezing the shoulders into the back. So really, the shoulder blades are just wrapping around the rib cage. So I want you to do that a couple of times, just getting some motion available here. And I want you to start to push into the chair itself so that when you move your shoulder blades together, you're literally pushing your hands away from each other. And then when you move your shoulder blades apart, you're squeezing your hands towards each other. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take one of my hands off of the chair, either placing it here on the shoulder, or what I'm going to do is place it behind the head. So now as I squeeze that shoulder blade into the back, I'm here, and then as I roll it off, I'm here. From there, I'm going to add motion now coming from the upper back, rotating away, and then exhale, rotating down and in. So you can absolutely see that rotation through the trunk and spine, there's a big component of that that has to do with you being able to move your shoulder blades. So let's do that a couple more times, squeezing up and out. Good, last one, and then just squeeze right into that mid-back and then release that hand back to the chair. All right, other side. So again, I can either place my hand across here or behind the head. So let's allow that shoulder blade to squeeze into the back here, retraction, then pull off of the back, protraction. As I squeeze into the back, I am lightly pushing away from the midline. And as I pull off the back, I'm pushing towards the midline, going that way. Over time, if you like, add that spinal motion, turning your body towards the arm. Then as you're pushing down and away, let's just squeeze those shoulder blades together. So pushing down and in as we rotate towards, and then pushing down and away as we rotate back. Let's just do that one more time. And I want you to notice as you're going through this potentially, do you notice that one side is actually moving better than the other? Very important information to have. Good, then as you come back to the center, let's place both hands on our hips and come up. So already you're starting to feel some mobility there. Now another motion that we want to look at is the up and down phase of the scapula. Upward rotation and downward rotation. Now, upward rotation is really important towards getting our arms over the head, such as in yoga poses like downward facing dog. So when you bring your arms all the way up and over your head, notice your shoulders will elevate, and they have to. From there, we have to add that extension from that mid-thoracic spine. If we have a rounded back, it's going to put some pressure on the shoulders. So first thing I'd like you to do is notice how far your shoulders move. And from here, I don't have all the way next to my head, so I'm going to be very mindful of that. Now, placing your hands on the chair, and I realize the chair may not be as wide as you would like, I want you to press down and slightly towards each other. So that's going to incorporate some chest muscles. Now, continuing to press inward, I also want you to press forward. So it's kind of a combination move. I'm pushing in and up, holding that there. Now, being very mindful of how far my shoulders move, I want to walk back a little bit, then flex forward from the hips to a position of shoulder flexion. My arms are over the head. So I'm pushing down and in, and I'm training my upward rotators. Now, as you're doing this, allow your mid-thoracic spine, that area between your shoulder blades, feel it naturally sinking down. I don't want you to force it. Remember, the focus is pushing inward and upward with your shoulders so that way you're not compromising that region. Then as you inhale, let's walk back in and come all the way up to standing. Notice how that feels, feeling a little taller. Let's try that again. Inhale, breath. Flex forward, press the hands into the chair, going forward and slightly up towards the back of the chair. Then I'm walking back, coming back into that forward bend. So here I am, and I'm just going to take this a little bit further. And I know what my max is, but I'm just going to very much play with being able to contract my shoulder muscles while I'm holding this for a moment. No shaking, no cramping, certainly no pain. That's the rule here on isometric. Come all the way back in, and then we're back into standing. Last time, I'm going to try to enter my end range, potentially, but I want to be very mindful of not pushing too far and not using too much force. I'm pressing down into the chair, slightly inward, and now upward as I sink the chest down, and I'm really feeling those muscles in that mid-thoracic spine, holding that there. And then finally, we walk it back in and back to the center. Now, when you bring your arms over your head, you should notice that your mobility has improved quite a bit. For my third exercise, this is my depression of the scapula, and I'm going to do this in an integrated fashion as well. Arms to your sides, chair beside you. I want you to place your hand on the chair itself. Now, push your shoulder down out of your neck and feel your elbows sinking into the floor. From there, we add lateral flexion, or we call it side bend. So all these motions really do go together. Make sure you're not slouching. Keep that chest lifted. And for a bonus, if you like, add that elevation that we just worked on. This is our half moon. And then exhale, release it. And you can hold these integrated isometrics anywhere from 6 to 10 seconds, whatever that feels good for you. So again, dropping that shoulder down, elbow down. Come into side bend, rib to hip. Then on your inhale, come into that upward rotation, reaching that other arm over the head. And then exhale, releasing that all the way down. Let's do that one last time. Inhale. Hand goes onto the chair. Drop down. So I'm already starting my isometric. Now come into lateral flexion. From here, optional, add that arm over the head. Again, each time you may notice that your range of motion is improving. And certainly you're not noticing any quivering or shaking because you're getting more and more stable. Exhale and release it. Now we want to make sure that we have compared both sides, and it does take a little bit more time, but I like to do these back to back because then I can really become aware of where my imbalances are. So again, hand on the chair, drop the shoulder, lightly press down, just lightly, and then from there move into that side bend. On your inhale, if it's appropriate for you, go ahead and reach that other arm over the head, lifting up through the chest, coming into side bend. Hold. Great, and then exhale and rest. And you can rest in between an isometric anywhere from 2 to 5 seconds. Hand on the chair again, drop that shoulder down, elbow down, side bend. And you may want to rest a little longer if you're getting tired. Reaching that arm over the head again. One shoulder is depressing, lowering, the other shoulder is elevating or rising. And then exhale back down, and hopefully you are feeling majorly better. Inhale, breath. Sitting tall, hand on the chair, depress or drop the shoulder and elbow. Go into side bend, both feet pressing into the ground. Then again, on your inhale, reaching that arm all the way up over the head. Great, and then exhale and release it. So we've sort of introduced flexion and extension in the spine. We've introduced side bend. What about rotation? This is a big part of how we're going to get mobility in this area. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to place my chair right up against the wall and place the knee that's closest to the wall in my third exercise directly onto the chair. Now from there, I'm just going to place one hand on the inside of that knee. This is going to help me to engage muscles down deep in my core. Notice my shoulder is already coming off the back. Then from here, I just want you to turn towards the wall and just notice how far you can move on your own. When you're done moving, simply place your hand on the wall if it's appropriate, but make sure that you're not pulling yourself around. Holding that there. And then exhale, releasing that and coming back in the middle. Now for the next one, let's see if we can go a little bit wider. So let's place in that hand here. I want you to reach that shoulder into that fully flexed position. Then if you can, almost like you're washing the wall, we're incorporating a lot of shoulder motions. Notice how far back you go, then lightly place your hand against the wall for placement, and then just hold that with a nice big upright position. And then exhale, release that down. Deep breath in. Hand back on the leg. One last time, inhale, fully flex the shoulder. Then as we move that arm behind the body, notice if you can go a little bit deeper as you press your hand into the wall. Each time you're doing this exercise, what you may notice is that your range of motion is improving because muscles are contracting better. And also you're feeling stronger, right? Very, very important. So range of motion is very much dependent on how strong our muscular system truly is, as well as our structure, right? We have to honor that. If you have a compromised shoulder, if you have an injury, it's going to affect how well you do this exercise. So again, let's place our hand right on the inside of that knee so we feel that isometric. Then from there, I'm just going to turn towards the wall as far as my body will allow. When we're done moving, simply place your arm on the wall. And if you need to step back away from the wall, please feel free to do that. These are all going to be adjustable. Inhale, breath, sitting up as straight as you can. Exhale, and release that out. All right, let's do that 2 more times. Inhale, deep breath in, hand coming in. I want to press the knee and hand together, so I'm activating that lower transverse abdominis a little bit. Then flex into that shoulder. Reach all the, just like I'm swimming, I'm doing a backstroke. Then when you're done moving, notice how the shoulder, the upper back, and the hips are all involved together. And then exhale and release that out. Nice. Last time, inhale, breathing, place your hand on the inside of the leg, reaching up tall. This is our final one, so this ought to be the best so far, the best in show. Sitting up nice and tall to hold. And then exhale, release it. Great. Now, let's move into my 4th exercise, which I like to call the scarecrow. I want you to come against the wall. Now, if you have a hard time sitting up against the wall, maybe your head is out in front of your body a little bit, let's just say we're going to get as close to the wall as we feel comfortable. From there, bring both of your arms out to the sides at a 90-degree angle. Then from there, we flex the elbow. So we're in full external rotation. We're at the end range of our shoulder. Now, if possible, see if you can place your upper arm, your forearm, maybe even your elbow against the wall. Now, this is something you may have to work into over time, right? You may have to put something even behind the shoulder, or maybe do one side at a time. But I want you to very lightly press into the wall. Then we come into our V, kind of like we're doing the YMCA or something here, holding that here. And then as we exhale, we go into another one. We go back into our scarecrow. This is an awesome, awesome exercise. And I want you to think about this as being an alternative to the old putting your hands on the door frame and pushing, right? Inhale, breath, going back into that wide V. Good, and every single time, where are we getting this motion from? Not just the shoulders. I want you to get it from the middle back. So really think about sticking your chest out, drawing your shoulders back, and raising your sternum. That is actually going to be the key. And we don't have mobility there, or actually it's strength there. What happens is we will start to compromise our shoulders, and we will feel a whole lot worse. Hold and breathe. Good, exhale, and again, we press back into that wall there. Hold and breathe for 5, breathing 6, 7, 8, and release. And I'm sorry, that was the 5th exercise. So now for my 6th exercise, I want to take this back to the chair and start working on some exercises that will actually train my shoulder muscles to get a little bit stronger. All right. So as you're sitting in the chair now, let's take both of our legs out in front of you. This can also be done sitting on the ground. This exercise typically is going to be a little bit easier. So I like to double up my band, totally up to you though. You can leave it on a single band. And then just place that band directly below the feet. Now from there, I want you to sit up nice and tall so that your back is straight. Draw your elbows back towards the back wall and just squeeze your shoulder blades in. Now this is going to hit a little bit lower in the back so that you can really work on lifting through your rib cage, so as if your sternum is rising out in front of you, almost like you have a flashlight on it and you're shining it on the wall in front of you. Then as you exhale, bring it out. Let's do that one more time. Squeeze those shoulder blades together nice and tight, working against the resistance of the band, and then release it. And once you have the hang of it, go ahead and see if you can try a couple of repetitions. Just squeezing it back and then moving it to the front. Again, squeezing it to the back, holding, and then moving that into the front. So this is going to really draw some awareness to that whole region between the scapula. And as we move into that decline row here, we are really getting a great opportunity to sit up straight and really stick our chest out. Hopefully during the day, the next time you're sitting at the desk, you will remember this exercise. Great. Now we have one more exercise left. I'm still going to be incorporating this band. So again, if you don't have a stretchy band, a rope tie or a belt works great on this exercise. You don't necessarily have to stretch this, although that's how I'm going to teach it. So I want you to begin with both of your arms directly out in front of your body at a 90-degree angle. So now we're back in that horizontal plane, which is going to hit that mid-thoracic region, namely in the middle trapezius and rhomboid region, including the rear deltoids, which are so hard to train usually. So really stick your chest out, crown of the head to the ceiling. I want to start off by just moving one arm out to the side. Now we're maintaining a little distance now between the thorax and the band, which keeps that resistance on the spine, and then inhale, bring that in. As you do that same thing to the other side, just feel that shoulder blade wrapping around your mid-back. Let's do that 2 more times. We squeeze it straight back. Great, and back to the center. And then last one, squeezing that straight back, and then back to the center. Now I want to incorporate a little rotation as we go. So as we turn to rotate, let's gaze back over that shoulder and then bring that all the way back towards the middle. Do that again, rotating. Now when you're sitting in a chair, it is very easy to slouch. So you've got to make sure, since we're incorporating rotation, that your posture is upright, your chest is lifted, crown of the head to the ceiling. So that's why I'm choosing to do this exercise at the very end, because I am hoping by after doing all of these exercises, that is almost a given that you're sitting up straight. Great job. And then one more time. And I'm not just moving my shoulder blade together, I am moving through my torso as well. Back to the middle and release it. Now, after doing those exercises, you should definitely be feeling those muscles like never before. It should almost feel impossible for you to slouch. And doing these things regularly will make it a way of life. Now, what I like to call the 5-step cycle of muscle maintenance is available to you on Fitness Integrated Science TV if you would like to learn more about how to train your muscles, not only to be more mobile, but also stronger at the same time. Also, make sure to sign up for my free newsletter so you can get all kinds of tips on how to get out of pain and get stronger. And most importantly, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up and share it with others. I really appreciate you watching, and I'll see you in the next video.